Thank you very much. Minister, I raise the matter of reduced timetables imposed by schools on traveller children and young people. This approach is not new, but the national traveller organisations such as the Irish Traveller Movement are reporting that managing behavioural problems is being used as a reason for the practice and is becoming more prevalent. The extent to which this practice occurs is unrecorded and undocumented, which is really, I suppose, the nub of this commencement. Anecdotally, it is common in both primary and secondary schools across Ireland. I've been given the indication that this practice is evident in almost every school in Clondalkin and Tallaght. In my own city of Cork, 2 schools are reported to have reduced hours timetables for traveller students, and I'm guessing that what is reported is only the tip of the iceberg, with many, many more cases unreported and unheard of. Your department says, and I quote, this should only be used in exceptional circumstances, never as a behavioural management tool, and only with parents' consent. But traveller pupils are being removed due to behavioural and mental health issues, sometimes without parental consent. And whilst recording the level and extent of reduced hours for traveller children and young people in both primary and secondary schools is unofficially documented, we have some evidence from Donegal and a study by Anne Irwin. She documented that traveller pupils from first year in secondary school who presented with defined and specific needs or just based on their traveller identity were encouraged to accept a part-time school week. They often missed specific subjects which they had a strong aptitude in, thus increasing the cycle of exclusion and deepening the impact of reduced learning. Minister, nowhere is this data recorded. Instead, the onus is placed on the parents who encounter the problem to take a complaint under Section 29 of the Act. TUSLA's own report, developing the Statement of Strategy for School Attendance Guidelines for Schools, asks, does the school attempt to minimise reduced timetables, suspensions and expulsions? In 2006, the Traveller Education Strategy recommended that data are needed to monitor transfer, attendance, attainment and retention, stating transfer, attendance, attainment and retention should be monitored by parents, schools, the VTST, NEWB, the DES and others. Traveller parents are reporting to traveller organisations who in turn bring this to the attention of various ministers, officials and most recently to the Minister for Justice. There is a real urgency to address this practice and to root it out, but there is no official documentation and there is no remedy in sight. Minister, when many traveller pupils are leaving secondary school unable to read or write, there is something very wrong with the system. If TUSLA and your department don't have a duty towards traveller pupils in this regard, who does? Minister, I am aware of the commitments in the National Action Plan for Education 2016 to 2019 to increase the number of travellers in higher education, proposing a target of full and part-time undergraduate new entrants of 80 students in 2019. And this is linked to the National Traveller and Roma Inclusion Strategy, and I welcome this focus. However, when travellers are experiencing these hidden barriers which impede their progress in education, surely this practice of reduced timetables contradicts the aim of your department. In your department's Traveller Education Strategy, it said in a 5-year period that the proportion of traveller children transferring to post-primary education should increase from 85% to 100%. A social portrait of travellers found that travellers were over 50 times more likely to leave before their leaving certificate. Another commitment in that strategy is that all traveller pupils should remain in school to complete the junior cycle. In 2017, only 99% of travellers aged 25 to 34 have completed second-level education, compared with 86% nationally. 9% as opposed to 86%. That's very, very poor. And reduced timetables that are not documented are contributing to those low levels of school completion. 50% of those who complete the junior cycle should complete the senior cycle. This is your department's words. Full parity with the settled community should be the target in the next phase. Only 8% of working-age travellers, compared to 73% of non-travellers, had reached leaving certificate. So I ask you, Minister, How do you and your department propose to address this very serious problem of reduced hours timetables for travellers? Will you set up a system of monitoring and reporting? Can you ensure that such practices are only used, in the words of your own department, in exceptional circumstances and never as behaviour management a tool? Reduced timetables have a serious impact on child's educational attainment and development, which last the person's lifetime, affecting a person's ability to participate in third-level education. As you know from the CSO in 2016, only 167 travellers, 0.5%, have a third-level qualification. There is a knock-on from reduced hours timetables, low school completion rates and the off-the-scale unemployment rates among travellers of 80.2%, rates that are significantly lower. We're at almost full employment, and yet rates for travellers are at 80%. So I'd like to hear from you, Minister, on how you propose to tackle this matter. Thank you.